Hello, everyone. Welcome into the OnCost Estimating webinar. My name is Drew. I'm a product specialist here, and then I'm joined by my colleague Cody.
Hey, my name is Cody.
Cody is one of our trainers here. He trains people daily on estimating. So how this webinar is going to work, we'll do a quick overview, go through the system, um, and then if you have any questions, you can submit those in the comments, and we'll make sure that someone follows up with you after. So just quickly for anybody who's new and doesn't know much about Construction Online or UDA technologies, we've been around for over 25 years. Now we have over 950,000 users in over 75 countries. So to get started here for estimating, what we're going to look at today, some of the things you can do with the OnCost estimating tool is you can build comprehensive and detailed estimates. You can do proposals, contracts, bids, generate different reports. You can integrate with QuickBooks and see your exact profit margins. Our estimating tool is the #1 reason that people leave other systems and come to Construction Online. Our founder, he was an architect, and he was in the industry for a while, and he always said every great project starts with a great estimate. So this tool was really built to help you maximize profits. So that is what we're going to do. So now Cody is going to kind of tell us how we can create an estimate within Construction Online.
Absolutely. So here we are on a project that doesn't have an estimate started. To get started, you'll just hit the Add New Estimate button right there. And then you'll have three options available for you. Now, our recommended option is always going to be creating from a template. That's going to give our users the ability to load in a predefined estimate structure that can also include things like cost, markup, and tax. This is our recommended option, as I said, because it's going to allow you to have a speed workflow that's a little bit more sped up. It's also going to offer you a repeatable process with your estimate structure. Now, your other two options that you had available for you are going to be your blank estimate. That's going to give you the ability to start from a blank slate for situations where the estimate you're creating might not fit your typical workflow. So you might not want to follow something that a template's already laid out for you. And then finally, you have your import from Excel. That's going to allow for users that are probably new to Construction Online to take a estimate structure they've used in previous systems, or if they've been using Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel for a while, to take that and bring that over into the system. Now, if you are new to Construction Online and you do need that template to import that estimate over, you can see under the More to Explore options, there is the Download Template option.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have already generated an estimate here just for demonstration purposes that we can hop into. And so we can take a quick look at kind of what we're looking at here and some of the things to notice while you're looking at Construction Online estimating. So you'll see up at the very top here, just right off the bat, there's a chart view that's going to give you an updated estimate summary. So this you'll see you have your base estimate in here, any selection allowances or selection overages in here. And it's also going to give you a quick view of your change orders and company overhead and margin. Now there's different chart views that you can jump in between. There's current progress, that's the one we're on now. There's also a remaining budget, an invoicing overview, and a payment overview to quickly see the progress of your project. Now diving into the actual estimate here, there are also multiple views you can do here. We're just going to stay on the advanced estimate one today, but sometimes if you want to look at maybe a quick view of the budget or different job costing, we can take a look at that later. So if you've ever used Excel before, you'll find our estimating very familiar to you. It's different, but it's familiar. And so you'll see that there are columns and rows that you can enter in your estimate in. There's also, it's going to be split into categories, subcategories, and then line items. And so Cody can kind of tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So here we're at our project total screen. This is just going to show us a lump sum of our category and subcategory information. Across the bottom of our project totals, you'll see it's already highlighted, but there is also your different categories laid out for you there, as well as if you want to move into a category, you can either click on the bottom row or the category highlighted name there, and that'll pull us into that category. Now, once we're inside the category, this is where we're really going to do most of our budgeting in a project. Here, you're going to be able to include your line items that you're actually going to be able to input quantity, your unit cost, be able to add a unit type that'll calculate into our base cost. We can include item tax here. You can also see that that percentage will calculate that number for us. We can change the status, whether it's an estimated, firm, or a bid. Um, we can also see any line item markup that's included. And as well behind that, we can see our contract price. We can see the attached change orders, as well as our job costing information in our committed actuals and invoice now. Now, the committed costs, you'll notice we do have 2 committed, 2 actuals, and 2 invoice columns. 3 of those are going to be the green ones, and those are going to pull data directly from our QuickBooks integration. The other columns are going to pull from features that exist in Construction Online, one of those being our invoicing section, and the other 2 are going to pull from our purchasing tool. The purchase orders or any approved purchase order is going to pull into the committed column, and any payments that have been made on POs, bills, expenses, and receipts will pull into our actuals. Now, if there are any additional columns that you may need to turn on, you will just need to right-click.
It looks like we are having some technical difficulties here. So we're going to try to make sure that we are sharing the right screen for everyone. Let's see if that works now. Hey, there we go. Sorry about that, everyone. We do apologize. We can maybe take a couple steps back.
Yeah,
that way everyone can see what we're looking at. What we were just talking about earlier. We'll maybe keep it a little more brief. But here we're looking at the estimate here, and this is one that's been created. And so at the very top here, you'll see the estimate summary that we were talking about earlier, where you can see your base estimate, selection allowances, overages, change orders, and company overhead and margin in the quick view. And like we talked about, there's different views that you can also take a look at there, such as remaining budget, invoicing, payment overview. And so now we're on the estimate here. And so you'll see that it has the line items, such as and categories and subcategories listed here. And also too, it's listed out with columns and rows, kind of familiar to Excel. And now Cody can kind of show what he was, or tell a little bit more, going back through what he was talking about with the different settings.
Absolutely. And again, we are so sorry about not sharing the screen. That was a technical difficulty on our end. But as you can see here, I'm inside of a category. This is going to have your subcategory information detailed out with the items below it. This will be where you can include your items and go on ahead and apply cost data into your estimate. So you can set things such as quantity, your unit cost. Those 2 will combine to calculate your base cost. You'll have your different unit types that you can apply, your sales tax if you would like to include that as well, and your estimate status and any markup that you would like to include. You also can then see your contract price, which will take your markup, tax, and base cost together. And then besides that, we have our change order columns turned on. And then we have our committed cost, our actuals, and our invoiced amounts. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the green columns for committed actuals and invoiced are going to be QuickBooks specific. And the committed actuals and invoice columns are going to pull from the Construction Online features with the corresponding information. Now, we did mention showing more columns if you need those. If you right-click on your column headers, you'll see a Show Hide Columns option. We do have plenty of columns to give you multiple options there. And as Drew mentioned earlier, with the drop-down for different column views, that is a great tool to go on ahead and have different column visibility set up for different column views for you there within the estimate.
Yeah, and with those column views, you can quickly jump between your important information or estimate data that you need to see. So now that we'll transition to, Cody mentioned a little bit about doing some markup. Let's go to our company overhead and margin here. So that's going to have its own section within the Construction Online estimate, along with selections and change orders. And so let's take a quick look at some of these sections. So in our selection section, you'll see that we have it's showing our approved selections here within the estimate and the allowance and any net overages, or I guess that would be credits there as well. And you can see all our pending selections, and you can jump directly in there. Same with change orders. Once the change order has been approved, it's going to go ahead and automatically integrate into the estimate. So reduce your no double entry for you there. It'll go automatically. But back to the company overhead and margin here. Cody's going to tell us a little bit more about this.
Absolutely. So here we can apply project-wide markups for things like company overhead, company margin, contingency, or any other company costs that we might need to account for. These column or line items are customizable. I know it starts with other one and other two, but I've seen users use those for different things, such as maybe realty fees and other options there. Now, we did mention markups earlier when we were in the estimate. This section here is slightly different from what we looked at earlier. Those markups that we looked at there were line item markups, and they are only going to apply to that line item specifically and be included in the base estimate cost. What we're looking at here is going to be our company overhead and margin. And as I mentioned, this is going to apply to everything that exists within the base estimate and our selection allowances. Now, our company overhead and margin does give us three different markup types that we can use. We have percent of cost, percent margin, and fixed amount. Now, those are slightly different in how they calculate. The easiest of those being the fixed amount. It's just going to be a flat dollar amount for us to use. The next that I see most users take advantage of is going to be percent of cost. That's going to take our base estimate selection allowances, add those two numbers together, and give us the percentage of those two values. Now, our percent margin is going to be a little bit more complex in its calculation. It's going to make sure that the line item that we're looking at is exactly the percentage value of our estimate total. It's going to take itself and any other company overhead and margin calculations into effect to ensure it's exactly in this situation 10% of our $5,861,000 budget.
Great, thanks, Cody. So now let's say maybe we've got our estimate done. We've got all of our items in, categories, everything calculated how we need it to be. Now we want to make sure we can send that estimate out or that proposal out to the client. So we can do this from two different sections. We can either go to this three-dot menu and create a proposal, or we can just go to our financial reports and then go to, we have multiple different proposals you can do. I like to do the detailed proposal. So here on the left-hand side, you will see that there's different customization options for your proposal. And on the right-hand side, it's going to give you a document preview. So you can see what your proposal looks like before you create it and send it out. So just to show you some customization here, you can change between categories, subcategories, items, show items only, show categories only. You have options to do overhead and margin, how you include that. There's a separate line item, or you can prorate it throughout the contract. Some of the easiest ones to see a difference in are some of the background colors. So let's maybe change this from a black, and you'll see that it automatically updates the color there. Maybe we want to update the totals row. We can change that as well to maybe this color here. It's really customizable, and you can change it to how you like it. Now, one of my favorite things about the proposal wizard here that we're in is you can do proposal presets here. So you can see that we have a couple proposal templates here. And these are going to be, once we created a proposal that we like, that's for our normal workflow, we can save that proposal template to, that way we can repeat that process very easily. Now, I know some people do a lot of different types of work. So maybe some of you are residential contractors. So you could have one for all of your new builds. And then also maybe if you do maybe a commercial job on the side, you could have a different proposal template for that as well. So we've generated a couple here just to show you some of the different customization options that you have within the proposal wizard. So this one here this is going to be a detailed proposal that we would send out here. And you can see that it has the customization up top. We have included some terms and conditions here as well. And you'll see this one's listed out by line items. It's also got those categories and subcategories listed there with the totals. And so that's one example of one. Maybe if you want to send a more brief one or a simple proposal, you could do one that looks like this. It's just going to have your categories listed out with the prices and the subtotal. You also have your allowances in there as well. And then you'll see the project total is listed at the bottom. And then you have a place where you can sign the documents. And these are all customizable text boxes as well. So if you have maybe you need 4 signatures for a proposal, you can quickly add that in as well. Maybe you only need 1 signature. It's really, you can customize all of this here. And so that's going to be the proposal. So maybe we're done with proposals. We sent it out, we won the job. There's a lot of different reports here, dozens actually, that you can do while the job is running. And Cody's going to tell us a little bit more about those.
Absolutely. So we have some that are focused more on job costing, such as like our estimate versus actuals, our estimate versus invoice, and our committed versus actuals. We have also one that's for the over budget report, so that way you can just look at line items that have gone over their original budgeted amount. We have things like spec reports, material list, and other reports that you can get benefits out of. Now, we have run 2 of these already. We've run an estimate versus actuals report for us to take a quick look at. You'll see here it's going to pull things like our base cost, our adjusted cost. It'll show our actuals, and within that, you can choose to show the manual actuals column or the QuickBooks actuals column. And then it'll also show any overages or what's remaining on those line items. Now, we've also done a materials report, which is a more centralized version of like a classification report. It's just going to pull items that have a material classification. So that way I can quickly go, how many units do I need of a specific item? How much is that going to cost me? And then I can budget out from there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Cody. So we've looked at some different reports that we can create. Now let's take a deeper look at maybe those selections and change orders that we were mentioning earlier. So we'll hop into this client selections module here. And so right off the bat, you'll notice a couple different things here. First off, you're going to see the selection overage summary. And so what this is going to show is our approved allowance already that we set aside at the beginning of the estimate, maybe our approved choices here, and then it's also going to show our selection overages here. So any selections that have gone over budget for that allowance, it's going to quickly show us a total here. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that it's going to preload our pending selections in, ones that have not been decided on yet. And so it'll show us due dates, what vendor that's associated with. And so just a quick way to see what needs to be done in your estimate and for your selections. There's 2 different views here. There's a summary view and a details view. Once we go down a little bit further, and you'll see listed out all of our selections and different choices and options that we have with that. But down here is one of my favorite views. This is the card view. And so this is going to show a quick look at the cost, quantity, different markups we can have on there, and then the client price. It'll also show pictures and show any details about the selection that we need. So right now we're looking at an approved selection. We can also look at rejected choices if we want to. Or if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see some selections that have a pending selection to be decided. So we can see that there's 2 different ways to approve a selection. Number 1, you can approve it for the client, or the clients can log into their own portal and approve the selection for them, and they can sign off on it. If there's any overages, it'll show that to the client there. Now, the client's not going to see the markup. They would just see the client price as well. But it's a really easy way to take advantage of getting your clients involved in their own project and really giving them a choice for their selections, and an easy way to do it too without all the hassle.
Absolutely. Now we're going to kind of move over to the change orders. It's another way for, as Drew said, to get your clients involved and kind of make your job easier when it comes to tracking this information. Now, with the change order feature, we're going to get the ability to generate change orders to present to our clients. It's going to allow us to kind of present it to them for any changes that might have happened in the original budget or any additional costs. Maybe the client reached out and wanted to add something onto the project that you didn't originally account for. We can generate a change order, present that to them, and get their approval, or for them to reject it and move on past that choice. Now, at the top of this feature, we're going to get to see an added cost or time summary to see our our added cost from each approved change order, any added time that might be calculated in, and then the remaining pending or rejected. There's also a paid versus remaining column that's going to come into effect when we look at creating bills and expenses, bills and payments on those change orders. Below that, we have a change orders overview screen. It's going to give us a detailed view or a summary view. This is going to allow for, if we look at the details, it's going to show us more of like a list view of all of our change orders. The summary view is going to give us more of a breakdown from what we saw earlier. And then below that, we're going to have our card view again. This is a great way to see very detailed and quick view of each individual change order. I can see change order name, any description that's included, and an overall cost value of this. Similarly to the client selections, we can do the approval value in one or two ways. I can approve it for them by hitting the green thumbs up or reject it for them. Also, they can go into their own portal and approve or reject it themselves. And with that, if they do it themselves, it'll prompt them for a signature option to apply. If we do it for them, it won't prompt that selection or that signature for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so once, like we talked about earlier, once the change order or a client selection has been approved, that's going to automatically update in the estimate. So it integrates there for you seamlessly. And that way it's going to stay up to date on things that have been approved or not approved. And then it reduces your chances of a double entry. So that way that there's no less mistakes to be had in entering in information and saves you a lot of time. So that's going to pretty much wrap up the most of this webinar. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you found this insightful. We will make sure to follow up on any and all questions that were chatted in. Or if you have any more questions, you can either call our office or email me or Cody. We'll be happy to answer any for you. If you want to get started saving your time and maximizing your profits, you can give us a call at 800-700-8321. You can get into the estimating module for as low as $119 a month. If you go yearly, that goes down to $100 a month. So there's a lot of different things you can do to save that time and save your money. Thanks for joining, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Look forward to continue to talk to y'all soon.